Hi, so we are live today. This is Allison, and I have Beth with me.
Hi.
We are here to chat with you guys about our upcoming business workshop that we have going on. It's going to be the day before the conference starts at Roots in Portland on the 28th. So we're really, really excited for it. We've been working super hard on the content. It's going to be a really in-depth workshop that we're going to really hit the ground running with everybody, but we wanted to just kind of hop on live and talk more about what we were going to be covering and why it's so important to us, and really just like what you can expect if you're thinking of joining. And obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them here and let us know if you have any comments, and we will definitely get back to you guys. But I guess first, as people kind of perhaps filter in, we'll just do a quick intro of ourselves, right?
Yeah. And if you're showing up to this live after and watching the replay, we'll be checking the comments probably over the next couple of days. So if you have any questions that we didn't touch on, feel free to leave a comment and we'll just get back to you in the comment section with any answers that we didn't get to.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'll quickly introduce myself and then I'll give it to you, Beth.
Yeah.
So I'm Alison Marras and I'm an NTC. I graduated about a year ago from the NTA, and I'm also working with the NTA on some new curriculum and fun stuff like that. And I'm the founder of foodbymars.com. So I started that, I guess, almost 5 years ago now. I feel like every time I say it, it's like, wait, has it been another year since I said that?
I know.
Right. But so I started it, before I really knew anything of what I was doing or what I wanted. I just knew that healthy food and my own health journey seemed interesting, and I wanted to explore it on the blogosphere. And that's what I did. I just started it up as a healthy recipe website. So now it's transformed to include my nutrition services and programs and things like that. And I'm kind of in the middle of a site redesign, so that's exciting too. But yeah, so definitely I have some experience with the online business stuff, and that's exactly what our workshop is about. And I think that pretty much covers it. So Beth?
Hi, I am Beth Manos Brickey. I am from the website, the creator, founder, lady behind Tasty Yummies. You want to talk about time flying by? I started Tasty Yummies in 2010. It's 9 years. Somehow in April of this year, it's going to be 9 years.
It's amazing.
I know, time flew. I am a 500-hour registered yoga instructor, and I am an NTP. I graduated, I think it was 2016 from the LA class. And all of that was kind of secondary. I started Tasty Yummies similar to what Allison was talking about with Food by Mars. I started Tasty Yummies sort of in the midst of my own personal healing journey and wanting to share what was working for me. But it started very much as a traditional food blog. I think the same as you, Allison, where people were like, whoa, I'm seeing major changes with your health and major transformations. And yeah, some weight loss and a lot of external and internal changes, but you're not eating this, 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 and this. What are you eating? And so I created Tasty Yummies initially as just like an archive of my recipes. And little did I know that people wanted to know as much or more about me and my healing journey and what I was going through and my own personal story as they did about what was on my plate. And so it's all evolved from there. And now Tasty Yummies is health and healing articles, cooking videos and how-tos. I have a podcast called Between Meals where I dive into all of the kind of juicy stuff that happens between our meals. And I've created this weird little Tasty Yummies empire out of my own mess of a health journey. So to your point, Allison, I think that that's what we both are bringing to the table for this pre-conference workshop is we're going to spend a lot of time diving into how your story fits into your brand and building a presence online, and how much of your story is relevant and how much do you hold back on, and what does that evolve into as you're sort of growing this baby empire. So we're excited to be doing this together and having so much in common, but also so much of our own unique paths that sort of has informed how we've built our businesses and brands.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I know a couple of you have joined. Kara, hi. Hi, Katrin. So nice to meet you guys.
Hi.
Andrea. So we were just saying before you guys joined, if you have any questions about the business workshop, feel free to drop a comment here. And then also we'll be monitoring comments later on if someone, if you have a question after or you're catching the replay. So happy to answer any of those questions. But let's talk more about this workshop and why it's been so important for us to share this knowledge. I think between the years of us blogging and then, adding on to our education with the NTA and our overall toolkit on what kind of services we can provide to people, our online business has changed a lot and morphed. And I think we've learned a ton. We've invested a lot in learning as well. And so we've really taken the time to synthesize the really important aspects. What we felt like was, maybe that was a waste of time. Maybe this was really important. Maybe this is the way to hone in. We've really been able to take a lot of the landmines, hopefully, for you guys. And we wanted to put together a really just like nitty gritty workshop, give you guys like the tools that we use, give you guys just like our honest advice, like stuff that we talk about all the time, like what's working, what's not working, and how to shift based on what our goals are. Because even though we do have a lot in common with food and nutrition, we each have our own spin on it. Everyone has their own unique voice, all of us. So everything's going to be a little bit different. So it's based on your mission and goals. How do you kind of take it from there? So one of the first things about our mastermind, which is called Business Mastermind, tell your story, build your brand, and grow your online community. And that is definitely the major themes of it. One of the first things, Beth, is the importance of honing in on your story and your brand story. And I know we wanted to talk a little bit about why that's been such a game changer for us.
Yeah, no, I think I've talked about it a lot in the last couple of years in different podcast episodes and even last year in the lunchtime series. But I think that I don't know if every NTA group that meets up, what location, I guess is the best way to say it. Like we started out our very first workshop weekend as an NTP, each standing up in front of our group and sharing what our personal story was and how that got us to the NTA. And I still get goosebumps thinking about like everybody standing up, and some people were in the midst of their healing journey. Some people, they were the parent of a child who'd gone through some of the most trying times in their health. Some of them were beyond it and wanted to share that with others. But at the heart of it, for everyone in that room, they all had a story. Mm-hmm. And for us, we kind of took things in a reverse way. We had our story. We were part of our story. We were going through our healing journey, and we created this online community. And then that sort of reverse morphed into us finding the education through the NTA. I think a lot of people come to the NTA, they don't have an online presence. They don't know what part of their story is relevant. And I think through our experiences and through the experience of our peers, we've learned so much about the importance of owning your story and taking and telling your story in a way that resonates with whoever becomes your audience or your customers, and knowing that that story is something that people find in themselves, and sort of you become a mirror for them. And I think that's how you attract your most loyal customers, if you will, big air quotes on customers, because it's not about just the selling, but I'm sure you've had similar experiences with, we've talked about it even on previous podcast episodes where your parts of your story you were the scaredest to tell became the most crucial.
Yeah. And I think as NTPs and NTCs, we talk about this a lot, where it's like, if I'm still in the middle of my own health journey, how can I help others? And sometimes people can just really relate to the fact that you're sharing about that and you're opening up, and that makes them want to open up. So yeah, we've talked about like my Hashimoto's journey and me opening up about, painful parts of that and things that I was at first too nervous to open up about, because I didn't want people to think like, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's doing, she can't help me. Whereas it's actually done the reverse. More people are like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not alone. That means you know what I'm going through, and that means I can tell you about it. And so that's what's been able to attract the audience and clients that I've wanted. So yeah, that's such a great point. Like, I remember that too at my NTA weekend. Like, some people were moms of kids that had issues, and like some people were still in the middle of their own like gut storm, to lack of better words. We're always up and down and in flux, but we have the tools and we have something valuable to say, all of us. So it's just been so important to know when to like use our story to help people open up and relate to us and say like, hey, I'm your people, I get you. Yep. And then like further tie that to our overall mission, right? Like, I'm sure it's going to be more helpful for you to either support or go to a brand or a person that you identify with and that you feel like, oh, there's something behind this and they have a real mission.
Yeah. And I think the other part of that, to kind of like echo what you started with, is that I think we all have this fear that we need to have it figured out and that we need to be perfect. But I think in our imperfections and in the sort of most vulnerable parts of our story is where A, that we're most relatable, but B, we start to really hone in on what our strengths are as a business person, as a brand. And I think, we all go through the NTA and you finish it and you're like, I don't know enough about hormones, and I don't know enough about Hashimoto's, and I don't know enough about gut healing, or whatever the case may be. But, when you really hone in on what part of your story makes you unique and special and what you have to bring to the table, it starts to also really inform the story of your brand and what you as a practitioner, but also as a voice in the sort of virtual world, like what you bring to the table that's unique and what sort of sets you apart. And nobody can take and copy, paste, or replicate your story.
Right.
And I think, when you really hone in on what parts of your story make you unique, it really kind of helps you inform building a brand from that, and knowing that like you don't have to be all things to all people. You just have to sort of be really good at the thing that you're really good at and the most about. So we're going to really workshop with this group, taking the time to kind of hone in on what part of your story you're already aware of, that your strengths are derived from, and maybe what parts of your story that you may not even know are informing the work that you're doing so well or have the potential to do so well, and really sitting down with your peers and sort of dissecting who you are as a person, but who your story is as a brand. So yeah, I'm excited to do that with other people, because it's been so crucial for both of us, especially I think for both of us in the last year.
Yeah. And I would also add that, so like that's part of the first module of our workshop, where we're really going to spend a lot of time on that and make sure that, you guys are feeling better about it and feeling a little bit more confident in being able to speak to it and feeling okay sharing. And then I would say the second part of that is starting to think about who you're serving, who your ideal client is, who your audience is, who all that is. And so that was also a real big game changer for both Beth and I, as we worked with like business coaches and things like that, to really define. And I think they taught us this in the NTA as well, like, you can help anybody, but should you? You should help people that you feel like you can really focus your attention on, and all that good stuff, so that you can build your specific client base. And that's kind of just part of marketing, is really knowing your person so that you know how to speak to them, where to speak to them, when to speak to them, all of that important stuff, versus like, I don't know, should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Twitter? All these things. And we can't necessarily answer that. What we have to help answer is, who is your person? And then we decide where to go get them, how to speak to them, and when. So that's going to be another really huge part, that once we feel really good about our personal story, our brand story, we're going to talk about like, who are you serving, and get a real clear picture of who that person is. So that's going to be another big game changer, hopefully, for everyone who attends, is that we're going to sit together and really just like hammer that out, so that you leave like, here's my thing, here's my like elevator pitch, here's my person that I'm going after, and this is where this person is. And now I know clearly where to find them, what social media I should be on, should I have a blog, just all this good stuff. So that's going to be really key. And I know Beth and I we're both at various stages in our careers in how long we've been doing this. And I'm sure everyone who attends will be, some of you guys might be brand new. Maybe you don't even have a website. Maybe you're totally like, I don't know what to do. And maybe some of you have been trying and you just feel like you really need help just honing it in, really crafting your message, crafting the ideal client so that you don't have to like overexert yourself in all the places and you can just spend your time focused where you need to. And I would say we've come from a lot of sides of both those areas, and it's really for everybody. Like wherever you are, you could always use this time to sit with us, with the peers that would be there, to get good feedback, and like we'll all be like super supportive and help you craft this message.
Yeah, and I think we can both speak from personal experience when I say that, at least I know I can say this for myself, is that I feel like so much of the barriers and the challenges that you face as a small business owner, especially in the health and wellness space, whether it's just working one-on-one and marketing your brand to have a brick and mortar wellness, where you see clients one-on-one, or you're looking to build this virtual only brand and have a website where you're partnering with brands, and whatever the case may be, I think so much of the barriers comes from, even if you're not aware of it, it comes from fear. And I think the fear comes from this, you're just not sure. You're not sure of who you're talking to. You're not sure of what's around the corner. You don't know what your goals are. And I think we make really interesting and often incorrect moves out of fear. We just start to say yes to things that are just financial based, and just like, well, I shouldn't say no to that because I should just say yes to everything right now. But I think when you have the clarity in your brand story, in what the goals of your brand are, who you're speaking to your point, and where to speak to them, I think once you have that clarity, it gives you so much freedom, and it sort of, you can look that fear in the face and be like, I'm not afraid of what's coming because I've already figured it out. I know what the next step is because I know where I'm going. And I think when you're flailing as a small business person, it's really easy to get caught into things that are not a good use of your energy, that are not a good use of your time, your resources, your money. And so I think at least from somebody that's done this for 9 years, I think one of the things I'm most excited to bring to everybody that attends this workshop is a blueprint of all of our wins. And we've erased all the mistakes we've made. We've made them already.
Those didn't exist. Yeah.
So we kind of like, I don't want to say we're trailblazers and we've done it all and we have all the answers, but I think that we've been through so much as small business owners in the virtual space and finding our community and talking to our community that we're going to give you some of the tools that we wish we had 9 years ago, that I wish someone would have told me, stop trying to be everything to everybody, stop trying to talk to everybody, stop worrying about every single social media platform, and really focus on the ones that are right for you. And here's how you do that. And we're basically giving you that in an afternoon.
Absolutely. And that's going to be huge. And then, so that's a huge chunk of the curriculum because we want to really make sure everyone feels good about that part so that we can keep going. And then something really important that we're going to be talking about is like, okay, so now we've got this understanding, got this great foundation. Awesome. How do I get all of this stuff done? I'm sure some of you still work full time. Or some of you just have like a lot going on, or you're still maybe even in school. But the bottom line is like, how do you manage your time so that you're not scrolling on Instagram forever because you figured out you needed an Instagram account, or maybe you don't feel comfortable building a website. You just don't know how to enough and you don't want to do it. So when do you kind of outsource? So just figuring out how to execute is going to be really huge. And that's another thing that we want you to leave with, feeling confident about, like, okay, this is my list for things I'm going to be able to hire out. And we will, like I mentioned, give you a lot of the tools and resources that we have, because there's some things that like, I don't want to do. So I got to get somebody else to do that. So we'll give you like whatever resources and tools and recommendations we have, just to make it a little bit easier. We've gone through a lot of like trying to figure out what's what. And then just the how-tos of evaluating the efficacy of everything that you're doing. So analytics and what reports do I look at and things like that.
How often do you look at them?
Exactly. And so really being able to build out your calendar, really time block things, really figure out like, how do I manage all of this so that I can execute on it, is going to be really huge, so that you can leave feeling like, cool, I have a plan. Like when I get home, I think I know what I'm going to do. So that's what we'd love to be an outcome for everyone, wherever you are, whatever stage, whether you're launching, your first thing will be to launch a website or get a logo or something like that. Or it's cool, I already have all that, but now I'm going to be able to really deep dive and craft things much clearer so that I can attract my people and stop wasting time on the stuff that just is a time suck and I'm not getting much out of it.
Yeah. No, I think that that's going to be the most exciting thing, is that in the last year, you and I have taken our brands to the next level, implementing a lot of these tools and using the resources and the analytics to say, okay, if I'm about to launch a new program, a challenge, an ebook, what, like, the sky feels like the limits when you don't have systems in place. Yeah. And when you can take some of these systems and not only learn how to time block so you can get all the things done that you want to get done, but also have more clarity in next steps. Mm-hmm. You know, to your point, I think even if somebody joins this workshop and they're still in the NTA and they don't even know, like, are they going to see clients? Are they going to build programs? Right. You'll be able to use the blueprint we provide you with to sort of map out next steps, and then kind of copy paste that blueprint when you're ready. After you launch your website, take the same system that we've created for you and now launch your first program. Now launch your first group program. Now launch your first ebook.
Totally. Yeah. And that's essentially what's helped us not go insane, is like, I want to do this. How do I do it now? It's really just like, you kind of do it once, you keep practicing and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm going to interrupt. I've gone insane. This is why I know all of this will work, because I've tried to do it without the systems and I've tried to do it without the tools, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Exactly. So one question that we've been getting is about our lunchtime sessions. So I just kind of wanted to quickly chat about that. So what we just talked about is our pre-conference workshop. There are tickets for you to register. It's from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., which is actually super awesome, because A, you'll have your morning, but B, you can choose to use that morning. However, there are some pretty cool clinical pre-conference workshops that I know some people are attending, but now you can also come to ours if you'd like to, and get your business on and feel a little bit more well-rounded. So that's really exciting. And like I said, it's going to be, I think someone just asked, what's the workshop limit? So we're keeping it as a smaller group because we really want to be able to give everyone a good amount of attention. And like I said, like, if you have questions as these things are coming out onto paper, it's like, should I share that part of me, or should I be on that social media platform? We really want to help you break through certain barriers and get to a place of feeling like, yes, I'm going to do that. So keeping it like relatively small is important to us. I don't have like an exact number. I would say we're probably half-ish the way there. But I would say, you know, message us if you're concerned about anything, or if you're thinking of maybe bringing friends. I'm not sure. But yeah, so back to circling around on the lunchtime. So that's totally different. Those are more interview style. They're like interview series. Puppies behind you.
Uncle Larry's always.
He's like, I'm coming. So we're doing more like interviews with some of our awesome peers. Beth, if you want to like chat a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Christina from the Castaway Kitchen and Danielle Della Valle, who many of you know, she's been with the NTA for many, many years. She's now an instructor. Each day, off the top of my head, I forget who's on which day, which I should know right now, but we'll have all that on the schedule for you. These are going to be just under an hour, these workshops. And if you came to the conference last year and joined, I was the host of the series last year, and we did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday last year. This year, it's just Friday, Saturday. It's going to be business focused, but rather than a deep dive mastermind where we're sharing tools and things that you can implement and take home with you and sort of a blueprint of sorts, this is going to be almost a continuation of that conversation by having a dialogue with two different individuals, myself and Alison as well, having kind of like a panel discussion about our businesses and giving everybody that attends those workshop sessions an opportunity to ask direct questions to people that are in it. Everybody is, again, to echo your point, Alison, everybody's at different points in their journey with their business and their brand. Christina has a huge brand that she's built online, very representative of her story. And she's written a book, she's working on another book, and she's kind of similar to us, but in a different way, is now kind of circled around, and she's currently a student at the NTA. And so I'm excited to have somebody there that's currently a student who isn't seeing clients, that doesn't have that clinical experience yet, is kind of in that space that a lot of the people attending will be or will have just been, but can also talk to what she's built with her brand. And she's built an incredible community around her. And they're very supportive and they're very loyal. And so I'm really excited to kind of deep dive into what she built her brand from and sort of her history. And then Danielle's created an incredible brand as well. She has this beautiful book that she wrote. She has an incredible personality, and she's so well known in the NTA, and she's kind of got an incredible history of working in a clinical sense. And so I know she's currently creating a program, and I know she'll talk a ton about that throughout the workshop and her experiences and sort of reverse engineering her business in this way and deciding to write a program and to take her book into this sort of virtual space and build something out of it. So yeah, the topics are going to be relevant, and I think it's going to be really exciting, especially for those that attend the pre-conference workshop and get the tools and then can attend these free, shorter interview series that are going to be kind of like podcast style, where you'll really get to see people that have implemented some of what we'll be sharing with you, but people that may have some of their own systems and recommendations and experiences and stories that you all will, I know, learn so much from. But there was definitely some, I think, confusion for some people thinking that these were very much the same and they were just shorter versions, and that's not the case. These are just very, very casual conversation panel style discussions, but definitely business focused. So if you can do them all, we highly recommend it, because I think that's where you're going to walk away with the most usable tools and inspiration, and just really feel fueled up to go back home and put it all into practice and implement a lot of what you've learned.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was great. Cool. And then let's see what else we have on our agenda here. So we wanted to also talk a little bit about, I think we mentioned this too, just like when we are talking about launching different products, there's a lot of stuff you can do, especially online, because you're not as restricted and you can reach a larger audience. But that in itself, like Beth said, it can be like a little bit overwhelming. Well, like, okay, well, I have so many ideas. How do I dial it back and make sure things actually happen? That's something Beth and I have definitely gone through. And have gone through in a sense of like, okay, well, here's how we do actually focus, and here's how we roll it out and create a schedule and do all these things. So that's going to be really huge as well. And then something that I think is also really important is figuring out how to like diversify your income, figure out how do I actually make a living out of this stuff, whether you are taking clients in person or you want to move it to fully remote, whatever the situation might be. We want to feel like you have all these different options and you know when to call upon which and how to kind of mix them up. So I think that's going to be really fun. And then we talked a lot about this on Beth's recent podcast, which I can shoot a link to in the comments. But we talked, it's me and her, and we're talking a lot about like what's been going on with our businesses, as well as I left my full-time job, from my previous life, in like August. So when I went to the business summit, I was just like fresh out of there. So I know a lot of people have questions is like, how do I get to do that? This is what I want to do full time, but like, how do I do all of that? So I talk a little bit about that on the podcast. And I think that the answer is I did a lot of the things that we're going to do in this workshop to feel confident and stable enough to have a plan and feel like, cool, this is my career. Like, this is what I'm going to go do. I have a plan in front of me versus I don't know. I have so many ideas. I don't know what to do. So it made me feel much more confident to be able to leave that behind and go into something else. Plus, it definitely kept me busy. So I kind of had to choose. But yeah. And then
we'll make sure to include a link for it's episode 12 of the Between Meals podcast, and we'll shoot a link into the comments. Yes. Yeah. And I think to your point, something I just want to make sure people understand is I think there's a lot of confusion and concern and fear when we leave, whether it's the NTA or our job or leave our job because we graduated from the NTA. There's this fear of like money, of the financial aspect. And we're really going to spend a lot of time talking about passive income and active income and front-loaded income and all of the many different ways that you and I have found, the different paths we've found to monetizing our brand and business, and the importance of diversifying so that you do have the passive income that is earning you money, so that, you know, for me, and I know for you, Alison, I still see a small, limited amount of one-on-one nutrition clients, and most of them are virtual. And I do that because it fills me up in ways that I'll never be filled up from the virtual world. But I also know that I can't energetically and financially stop everything else and only see clients. And that's just what works for me and what I've found to be the most effective for energy and sustainability. And so we're going to spend a large amount of time sharing very personally the avenues for us that have been most lucrative, the ones that are maybe not worth our time and energy, and the importance of the passive, the active, and the front-loaded income, so that you have that stability, so that you can then step away, hand things off when you're ready financially, find the things to automate, and be able to do the things that you really truly want for yourself and for your brand. Because I was in that hamster wheel for many years where I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I couldn't get there. And it was because I didn't have clarity in all of the most important ways to earn money that allowed me to step away.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be a huge value, I think, just figuring that out, knowing what options there are and how to diversify your income is really going to be huge, especially with online business, and moving away from a former career or life is going to be really important.
Yeah, leaving that stability is scary, but I think it's completely possible. It's just about having the confidence and the clarity, and then owning what it is that you want out of all of this.
Totally. Okay, awesome. So I think, Beth, was there anything else that you wanted to add? I know we mentioned the time, so it's going to be from 2 to 5 on February 28th, and it's going to be, again, just like really tight-knit workshopping group. We're going to have a workbook, like we're going to be in it. Like you're going to leave with to-do action items. It's not like a lecture style. It's like we're all in it and we're working on your
very
stuff.
workshopy. Yeah. I think the other thing too that I want to make sure that we mention is there's also some accountability that we're going to have after the conference. So it's not kind of like, bye, have fun, bye, Felicia. Like, we're kind of creating a little community within this workshop so that we have some accountability within each other. So I think that that's what's going to be, I'm most excited about, is I think, you know, we've all been to conferences and a part of things where we get all of the information and your brain's overloaded and your notebook's overloaded. And then you leave and you're like, okay, now what? Right. And I think with having a workshop style where we're working one-on-one with each other and in a small group, and you know, having access to us throughout the day, and then after having that accountability, I'm really excited to watch where people go after this weekend.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree. And I think that's what's made a difference for us too. Like we're kind of each other's accountability buddies at this point. It's always like, Beth, you said you were going to get that email out today. You know, like we're really, we try to keep each other in check because it's just helpful to have someone else that it's like, oh, like they're going to remind me, or I have to show so-and-so this presentation. So like, that's something that we're really wanting to foster within the community from the class and beyond. Right. So I think that's going to be really, really huge, is that we keep in touch after and just see all the amazing things that you guys end up doing. And, you know, we want to be a part of that. All right, cool. Then I think let's take a couple of questions that have come through at this point.
Yeah, there's a few I've seen. I'm not sure. The question about, do you know how much space you will have for the lunch series? I do know that it's going to be larger than last year because we learned our lesson last year, but we had to turn people away and it was standing room only. I know that we do have larger rooms this year. We will have to get back to you, or have the NTA get back to you here in the comments and let you know if there is a limit, if we're close to the limit. I know that we do already have a lot of people registered. So if you are on the fence, I would say it's probably best to get yourself registered for those lunchtime sessions for sure. Or just come for the smaller pre-conference workshop where you'll get an even more personal experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Just last year we didn't have the signups. So that was the biggest difference. It was like people just pouring into the room. So this year, if you're signed up, like you can at least feel good that your head's been counted for.
Yeah.
Priscilla, income is definitely my biggest worry after the program. So sad the workshop is far away. I know. I'm in New York City. So, and Beth's in Long Beach, California. So we're definitely all traveling, but I know, I totally hear you. Let's see what else we got. So we answered that. Oh, Kim, advice for new students or have just started, come to Roots because it's going to be awesome. Come to our workshop, and aside from that, just like put yourself out there and practice. It's sometimes stifling and paralyzing to feel like, well, no, I need to have this figured out or I need to have this. You just have to put yourself out there and practice. That's the only way you're going to get anywhere. But seriously, what I would say is a lot of the exercises that we're going to be going through in this workshop will help make you feel more confident in, well, who do I practice with? And how do I practice with them? And all that stuff. Because Beth and I both take clients remotely. So like we're in it doing this, but we've got a real clear picture on who our client is so that we're not necessarily wasting our time and energy on marketing to all the people. What is it that they say? Like if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. You have to know who you're going after and they will come. There's a lot of them. So you just have to define that and be clear on it and know how to message to them so that they find you. Versus just like, I don't know, I could help anyone. I would say like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I think, to the point of practicing, I think it's like, there's definitely a lot of trying things on for size, especially right after you come out of the NTA or even while you're in it. Like I felt so overwhelmed, and I've talked about this before. I felt so overwhelmed by the blood sugar regulation module. Like there were just so many words that sounded so much alike, and there wasn't enough time for me to really, truly, deeply dive into understanding it. And I actually thought it was something that I was like, this is just like, I'm the girl that does digestion, like digestion's my thing. And lo and behold, my father gets diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I had to get myself very rooted in understanding blood sugar. And it was through working with my own father and through practicing that I was like, oh, I am incredibly passionate about blood sugar regulation and helping people learn how to manage blood sugar dysregulation or prediabetes or any other number of, dysfunctions. But I wouldn't have known that had I not just dove into it and practiced and started learning and researching. So I think, try different things on. Like if you think that you're interested in clients that have hormone dysregulation, read about it, talk to friends and family, see what lights you up. Like you may work with somebody. I don't do well with certain clients that have certain dysfunctions that are not interesting to me. And I'd rather sort of refer them out to somebody that is their passion and work with the people that and I wouldn't have known that had I not just like dove in and started playing, for lack of a better word. So just get your hands dirty and get in there.
Absolutely. Great. I think those were all the questions, but again, we will check out the comments to see if any others come through. I'm going to drop the link to episode 12 of Beth's podcast where we talked a lot more about this stuff. Actually, can I even do that? I'm a little new with this system. Oh yeah, I can. So I just commented the link. So you guys, if you want to go listen to a little bit more about our stories and things like that. Other than that, I would say just come and sign up. And if you have any other questions, please just let us know. I will go ahead and also give you the link to sign up and check out the registration page. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So I think that was everything.
Yes.
Right?
Yay.
Cool.
So come join us.
Yeah.
You have to be there. If you're not there and you're at the conference, and you see us, come up, say, hey, introduce yourself. Like, it's so great for us to be able to meet people that are in the program, graduated from the program, going through it currently. Like, we love doing this work. So make sure that you stop us and at least come to the lunchtime sessions. But you should definitely come to the pre-conference workshop. Hard sell.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been working for quite a few months on this stuff. It's good. It's pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, thanks for popping on with me, Beth.
Yeah, this is fun.
Thank you guys, everyone, for joining. It was great chatting with you, and hope to see you at Roots.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Alison.